Snug Life is all about the conversations that you have in the pub.
We can talk about bullshit things, we can talk about serious things.
3 childhood friends spread across 3 different continents now.
Snug is a home away from home.
Welcome to Snug Life with Tomo,
Sean?
And Gaz.
Lads, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I think we're all on the back or in the middle of a extremely busy week right now. I realise I'm talking to a man who just did the Mumbai to Dubai evening flight. And another guy who's just moved to Florida to take over a team. So in me saying that I'm a busy man, I can't imagine how that extends on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
I do want to hear about, Gaz, I want to hear about the trip you've just done. You know, the Mumbai to Dubai shuttle is not many men I know do that.
It's only 2.5 hours. The flight wasn't too bad, Emirates, to be fair. And we were well fed in Mumbai, so slept on the plane.
How long are you in Dubai for?
I'm only here for 2 nights, 3 days, and it was Mumbai for 3 nights.
Any crack for the Mumbai?
Loads of crack. Mumbai is a mad place. We organise drivers when you're there. It's like a policy thing for safety. So we get out of the airport and my driver's like texting me on WhatsApp, like I'm at this column, pillar, everything else. Like there's no systems to anything. It's chaos. And I see this guy that looks familiar to the picture, and I'm like, I think that's my driver, but why isn't he in a car? Anyway, he's walking to the car behind to start trying to like punch on with the guy in the car behind him. And I'm like, get in the
like
fucking car.
Throwing punches.
Yeah, he was screaming at him. He was going like he was. I recorded it. I sent the video to you guys in the WhatsApp. I was like, here I am in Mumbai. Oh, I think that's my taxi driver.
I totally missed that.
And it ended up being him. So then the poor diva was awful embarrassed. That was my welcome to Dubai. Welcome back to Mumbai, sir.
I've never been to Mumbai. You've described it just as I'd expect, like chaos.
Organised chaos,
Yeah, it sounds busy.
What about Delhi Belly? Have you ever had the Delhi Belly? I know you're in Mumbai, but I think the saying still stands, Delhi Belly.
Yeah. No, I'm 4 for 4. Everyone else I've gone with has gotten it at least once, but I'm 4 for 4 clean, no Delhi Belly. But
wow.
I think my diet of beige on beige, meat and 2 meats kind of gets me through it.
Gets you away with it. Well, I had an awful case of turkey tummy a few months ago on my travels. So I don't know if I've just coined that one, but
the worst.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, let's just say it was a tricky old couple of weeks traveling around through the city.
Well, they say, I think the rule of thumb is to avoid street food, you know, when you're in far-flung places, but that's kind of also part of the allure of being away. So you're just running that risk.
Well, again, as being known to be a man who might be stubborn at times, my girlfriend told me after the first night or two to maybe lay off the kebabs. There were so many to try. There's ones from different regions.
So many delicious kebabs.
I'm trying to learn culture here, you know. I'm trying to open my eyes to the world. I want to try
I
every
love
one
kebabs.
of them.
Abracadabra?
That's an OG abracadabra. For our listeners here who, when we're setting up the call just now, Gaz has just landed in Dubai, as he said, and in the hotel, his room service order was
just toast. I haven't been and hung out in Dubai, so I don't know the lay of the land yet. So
Dubai's good. You're good with Dubai. If you
no, I know.
You don't want to be Dubai dumping.
Dubai dumping. I got the Dubai dumps.
Is that the best we could do?
You can branch free from the
Dubairrhea
toast.
Dubairrhea, lad.
There's the episode name.
Episode name sorted.
But then you know yourself, like you come to a place and you just like the guy told me the menu, the room service menu was in the telly. And like, I couldn't be fucked with that. It's 11:30. I've had a long day. Do you do toast? Yes.
Is there just in thinking about a way we can bridge over.
Well, I mean, we have to ask where I am and what I'm doing, maybe.
Our correspondent on the ground.
Correspondent on the ground. That's what it was like when I landed. Landed in on Friday into Florida, and the hurricane had just passed, and it was torrential rain, like I've never seen before. Torrential rain, wind,
Oh, wow.
flooded everywhere. I was like, I really should have postponed this trip. But you know, the Floridians just go on business as normal. It's super interesting to see that like a huge historic hurricane passes through, and everyone's just on the road doing their thing. And
I suppose it's so normalized.
Totally.
It's been like not normalized. Obviously, it's horrible to see what people are going through. But I suppose it's a thing they live with in some ways, right?
precisely. So had a 24 hours of that kind of weather, and then it had passed by, and it was nice since. So enjoyed Florida. Now I'm in North Carolina. So yeah, to our listeners, organizing this worldwide time zone differential it's been a struggle, but we got there in the
Is
end.
it worth saying there was a little bit of a midweek scare where we heard Sean maybe was off the WhatsApp group for a couple of days. So myself and Gaz were going, that's not like our Sean. Didn't he just fly from New York to Florida? We started to...
Couple of doomsday scenarios.
we didn't have the search party out yet, but the helicopters were on standby.
I've never felt so loved to get those
The
messages.
Snug Life helicopter. The Snug Life helicopter was on standby.
Talk about the LinkedIn ad up, the Vale Sean O'Leary, RIP.ie. It was
It
all
was
ready
warming.
to go, and then he had the ad for replacement podcast host in the back pocket.
Oh God, yeah. Oh well, this is it. We have to start sourcing. You know,
You have to move on.
Okay, so yeah, we obviously did the chat about needles and how Sean and I are weak men, and
Very.
and we're okay with that. We're mature enough to realize that.
And not ashamed.
Shout out to the fellow fainters. But yeah, we got a good reaction. Got a lot of stories from friends and other listeners and stuff about their own experiences.
So yeah, this inspired this week's theme on phobias and fear in general. Go on, guys.
Shout out Carl Healy, friend of the pod. He had a good one where when he goes to the dentist has to turn his chair upside down so the blood stays in his head when he does the needle. And that painted a fantastic image for me. I was going back, like, thinking about doing this episode. I was going back trying to think of all the funny places I fainted. Because it's not just needles for me. Like, I'll just drop. I'm like one of those fainting goats. Do you ever see those fainting goats on YouTube?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, we'll put a video in the footnotes. But yeah, these goats, when they get a fright, they just freeze. Something happens in their brain and they just fall over and they faint. But yeah, I fainted in the dentist chair on the altar when I was in the church choir as a young a preteen. I wasn't even a teen. But yeah, tried to make my break off the altar. The priest was giving it the big one. Everybody was all in, and then you just see this like 7 or 8 year old darting out from behind the altar and just collapsing on the stage or whatever they call that thing. Some kind gentleman had to come and pick me up and bring me outside. I've public bathroom. That was a bad one.
oh, that's a lot of hard surfaces there, guys.
Yeah. That's why my face.
These are all fainting. You're all fainting.
all faints. Yeah, at the back of mass. And then I started making all these weird noises. Another kind gentleman had to carry me out. Everyone thought I was taking the piss. Fainted on a plane. Obviously,
It's probably because you never ate vegetables.
No,
growing
nothing
up.
to do with that. It's all the toast. The toast is doing me strong. And then, do you know what else though? Right. This is what I was thinking. Right. I G myself up. I amp myself up when I know there's a needle coming in my future. I get so wound up, and I think it's all actually linked to like anxiety, and that got
It's
me
true.
thinking as well. I was home one Christmas, and and I'd had a big night out, and all the lads, it was the big lads' night out on the Saturday or whatever, and I had a big night out on the Friday. I probably had a big one on the Thursday as well. I was so dehydrated and shook. And I got up and I got on the train late and I went in, and yous were all in a pub, and the pub was so busy I could not get into it. Every time I'd walk to like the edge of the crowd, I'd just start getting dizzy. And like, Tomo, I think you came out to me and were like, "Are you all right? Like, what's wrong with you?" I was like, "Tomo, I cannot walk in there. I can't walk in." Stone sober, I went off, got a Lucozade, coffee, water. I was like, okay, I'll go back now. I think I got a couple of Nurofen and stuff. Then I get back to the pub, get in the door, see the big crowd, walk towards it, and then like my knees start knocking. I'm like, whoa. Wow. Yeah, that was the weirdest thing. But that's the closest I've had to like that same when I like G myself up about needles and stuff. When I know I'm going in to give blood or anything, I get so psyched out. And then when I'm in the waiting room, I'm like, yeah, I just completely psych myself out. All mental. I need to see a hypnotherapist or a shrink.
I get the same thing.
Well, I think everyone has their own versions, right, of these things. It's just that's your trigger. We all have our own. Like Sean, I don't know about yours. Like heights for me have always been a tricky one. You know, now it depends what it is. I'm not extreme, and I've definitely gotten better. But particularly when I was younger, and I can still get that vertigo. What you're talking about, that dizziness, that kind of disorientation feeling. If I'm in the wrong setting and there's a moment of, the stomach drops and there's a lurch.
Yeah. It depends on the setting for heights, though. You know, if, you know, in an airplane, you know, sitting in something that feels secure, I'd have no issues. If I'm physically standing, you know, on my own 2 feet, looking down over something, I start to get completely vertigo. I hate it.
Yeah, it gets
so it's a different. Some people can't even be, you know, in an airplane because of heights.
So I have a story on this. When I was younger, you know, the joys and the fearlessness of youth, I guess. I was lucky enough to go to New Zealand to see family and stuff when I was a teenager, and I ended up skydiving and bungee jumping when I'm sure you know this, when I was about 15. You know, obviously I met you guys after that summer when I came home, but I did a bungee jump, and that was like high enough. We're talking 40 odd meters, but it was over water. It was over a bridge. I was like young enough that it didn't really terrify me at the time. Now I'm thinking back, my hands are even starting to sweat and my heart rate is quickening as I'm thinking about this. But the next thing I did, we were on this like tour thing, me and my sister, and we had this like fancy dress competition, and I won. Me and this other guy, we dressed up and we basically got a canyon swing. So it was a 116 meter canyon swing. It was terrifying. So I'm standing on the edge, I'm about to jump off. And the 2 guys who were with me, they're probably early 20s. They were like bros, you know, and they were kind of taking the piss. They were laughing, like, because it was funny for them. There's some kid trying to jump off this thing and he's shitting himself. So they were taking the piss. They gave me a couple of false countdowns and they were like, "Oh, don't go." And I'd be like, "Oh, fuck off." So anyway, eventually I build up the courage and I'm like, I just got to get off this fucking platform. So I jump, but the instinctual reaction, I turned back to grab the platform. Like everything in my body went, no. And I just got my hand on the wood and then gravity and my hands were all chafed after it. Now, they winched me back up and all. I thankfully didn't fucking injure myself, but literally thinking of that moment of just sheer terror of, oh, you can't go back now. You're out. Like this is...
But you actually tried to. You tried to stop it and we're hanging off.
Every part of my body.
It just pulled you off and down you went.
Down I went.
Oh, man.
And don't get me wrong, the rush kicked in and it turned into a good feeling, but I still think back on that as being like, I've done the skydive and I've done a bungee around that and I enjoyed those experiences, but this for me still kind of rubs me up the wrong way. It gets me antsy when I even think about it. So
skydiving, I've done skydiving and I can manage that because it feels so far from reality because you're so far up that there's nothing that really consciously makes sense in what you're doing.
Agreed.
So when I didn't really have my awareness of it because you're in the clouds.
Same.
But the bungee jump thing, I'd struggle with that. Being able to just look down at the ground and just jump at it, and it's right beside you. I've never done it. I'm not sure I ever will. I'd probably need to be pushed off. So fair play to you. What I don't understand is how did you bungee jump, but you couldn't do the canyon
So
swing?
the bungee jump was 3 times less the height. It was like
Okay.
it was a very nice, like, 100 foot. It was over water entirely. There was a safety in the bungee.
Like you, same like you, Sean. Like skydive was sweet. Now there is that moment when the person goes out ahead of you, and you're like, "Wait, what?
Yep.
Where did they go?"
They're like, shit.
And you look down and you see them turn into an ant in like a second. You're like, whoa.
Seconds. And they kind of the scale of what you're doing.
Who did I think I was?
But you've got someone strapped, like a big strong man, strapped to you to just throw you out of the plane. So that obviously helps.
Well, my guy, Gaz, was about 4'6". My guy was fucking tiny. I was towering over him.
No, I got manhandled out of that plane, and it's exactly what I needed. But the bungee, the fucking bungee, Tomo, just like you, when I get to the edge, I realize this was the stupidest thing I've ever done. And you're thinking, like, I paid money for this. Right? So I get to the edge.
I paid
and
for
I'm
the
just
photos of
thinking,
this. I paid for the video
I'm just
experience
like,
on top of
what
this.
am I doing, right? And you have this idea in your head that you're going to do this magnificent swan dive. It's probably going to be the advert that they use for this
Graceful.
bungee in the future. It's going to be amazing. But what actually ends up happening is I stand there and I ask the guy to push me because that worked in the skydive. I got manhandled and it worked. The guy says to me, and I shit you not, he goes, no, because if anything goes wrong and you die, I'll be done for manslaughter or murder. And I'm like, that is not the response to that question when I'm standing
Yeah.
out here shaking like a leaf.
Highly reassuring.
So anyway, I somehow then, similar to you, Tomo, convinced myself to go. But in your mind, right, you've got this big swan dive moment. No. My knees start bending. I start going down
To
into
propel
this, like,
yourself up.
into this like semi squat, and then I just lose balance ever so slightly, and then just kind of fall. And my hands are up by my face, like not out majestically. They're like little like hello hands, and I just kind of fall off to the side, like the most pathetic thing. And then they winch you up, and I said, I swore, that's it now. That's my adventure days done.
That's
Oh,
a
man.
great image.
Very well described.
It's like the first time you learn how to dive. You just get ever so slowly just roll yourself into the pool. You did that off a cliff edge. But
Bingo.
in your mind, you were going to be leaping through the air.
I was convinced it was going to be the advert for that bungee for the next 10 years. Like this pasty white Irish guy jumping like a swan off this thing.
I think anticipation is what gets it right. It's like, Gaz, you mentioned the the getting the needle. You're talking about standing on the anticipation of anything really makes you have a phobia and fear of it that you didn't know you had, because you're overthinking the whole scenario. And I think that your conscience kicks in, to save yourself and to not do it. And it's the same with something as simple as a presentation. If I have to stand up and speak in front of people off my own accord and just do it there and then, no issues.
Great example.
If I prep for something and I know I'm doing it, I'm walking in and the clock is ticking down and they're about to wave you in, and you were in the crowd prior and now you're visualizing yourself up there, you're just getting your own head.
So much. I totally get it.
The sweaty pants.
I hate it.
I got sent to it was a hackathon, like one of these, all these companies send these people. I got sent to this thing, and I'd be quite outgoing, let's say. I'm still a fucking introvert all day long, but I present as an extrovert, you might say, right? I'm a con man. I'm a fraud. And and we're at this thing, there's 10, you're just grouped with 10 people, right? So all strangers, and there was 1 or 2 people from the same company as me, and we had to come up with this product and pitch it. But it was a 2 or 3 day thing. But at the end of day 1, you had to just do like a preliminary pitch. And everybody at the table picked me. And I was like, oh no, I've frauded myself here. Like, they think I'm that guy. So somehow, anyway, it transpires that everybody else got the memo that they needed to develop this very brief pitch to give at the end of the day. Our team just didn't miss the memo completely. So they go, right, 10 minutes until pitch time. And everyone's like, oh, shit, do you want to do something? I was like, oh, no, it's grand. Like, I'll wing it, right? Oh, my God. We were the last group. Every other group went up and they had this, like, scripted thing. People went up in pairs and kind of, like, riffed off each other. Really good, like, really well presented and, like... Australian.
Meanwhile, Gaz is down the back of the room,
sweating, right? But like all these guys, like, do you notice, like,
when
you
you
speak to, like, someone from the UK, they're really good communicators, right? So they were all up there, like, putting on the show, and I'm just melting into my seat. Like you were saying, Sean, earlier, you're like, I know that microphone is going to be in my hand in 10 to 15 minutes. So it goes on.
And they're using words, and their vocabulary is so much better than ours.
So smooth.
It's so
they're working
smooth
the
at
whole stage. It's like it's a stage. It's like they turn off all the lights in the room. They turn up these, like, stage lights. It became a production.
And your whole
theory on this.
Your whole team is just casual because they've got you. They've got the outgoing guy who can talk to anybody. He's got our back.
Then they start to realize that all these people have prepared really well, and then I start getting the sympathy looks. Oh, you poor bastard. We fucked you, right? So I'm sitting there, and again, I'm like, just let me up and get this done with. But somehow we end up being last. So everybody goes and they go, last but not least, this group here. So I go up and I get the microphone.
Turned out it was least.
Everything is shaking. My voice, my hand. Like, you know, when you, like, look out at the crowd for the first time and you're like, there's way more people here than I thought. Like, even now I'm starting to get like, I'm getting the biggest ick right now, even thinking about it. And like, I cracked a joke early, just like, really should have prepared something, didn't realize whatever. And they kind of got them going. And then, like, what felt like 10 minutes, but was probably only about 30 seconds, I start with the ums and the ahs, and it's going really badly, and I can feel the sympathy coming from the crowd. And then I kind of crack the same joke. Oh, yeah, like I said, probably should have prepared something. And then no one's obviously laughing. And then I'm just in to get me off this fucking stage mode. So I just go, yeah, but that's it anyway. So I didn't even say what we were. I didn't pitch anything. I just completely capitulated on the stage, handed the microphone back to her, and she goes... Okay, thanks for that. Like, it was like a sad moment. And I went back to the table and everybody kind of just looked at me like no one knew what to say. It was fucking dreadful. And since then, I'm terrified of microphones.
In a previous life, I had to talk in front of like 100 odd people in an office kind of thing fairly regularly. And I would feel literally like my voice was shaking and that I was just shutting down.
It's horrible.
People would always say you seemed okay, but I think everyone just said that to be nice.
Everyone's just being nice. I'll tell you right now, they're just being nice. And then, like, you put your hand up to point at the screen and it's like shaking like a leaf. And you're like, put that back down.
So I had a look during the week, and, you know, keep in mind I'm with my girlfriend for the past week, and, you know, I don't know if it's just me or you guys have the same situation where I feel like a lot of women can't, you know, make decisions on food, you know, orders, or where to go, what to do. And there's actually a phobia of that. It's decidophobia. People that just can't make a decision. And I wonder, like, if that's a real phobia.
That's
can
me.
you imagine every day. You don't know you can't choose what time to wake up. You can't decide to shower. You can't decide what to put on. Like, that is a bad, debilitating phobia. There's a good one here. It's the fear of phobias. Phobophobia.
The fear of fear itself.
Jesus
The
Christ.
fear of fear itself.
It's Inception.
Nomophobia, which I
God.
actually think everybody has nomophobia. It's fear of being without your mobile phone.
That's not. It's not a phobia though. It's an inconvenience. That's not like.
It could.
I faint when I fucking see my own blood, Tomo. I don't leave the house without my phone and like break down crying.
Yeah, it's not quite the same.
But you do get anxious for that moment in time. You feel kind of half naked. You don't know how to
100%.
how are you going to make decisions? It would
Yeah.
nearly drive you.
That's your decision phobia.
Actually-
Yeah, that's exactly. You're back
The
to that.
nomophobia leads to
I'm sorry.
decidophobia.
If you put a big fuck off tarantula on my face, I'm having a totally different reaction than if I leave the house without my mobile.
Do you remember that movie? Was there do you remember the movie? Was there a movie, Arachnophobia?
Yes,
Yeah,
there
I
was.
just
yeah,
make that up?
that
No,
was
there was.
actually something I was going to bring up. The fact that along, like a while ago when all these movies were coming out, like Psycho, Arachnophobia, Jaws, they like drove these completely irrational fears and phobias. Where like, I don't know you, right? When I watched Scream as a kid, again, I say kid, I was probably like in my teens, big strong man mode. But no, absolutely could not go into a dark room for easily 6 months.
I've seen that early as well.
I thought that Scream guy was gonna get me, and that's
Yeah.
so irrational now thinking back. But no, literally couldn't go into a dark room. Had to turn the lights on, and then like, what was even more stupid about it, and you might laugh at this. I hope you do. But I would, if I was going into a dark room and like the light switch wasn't beside the door, I'd close my eyes until I had the lights on.
Oh wow!
Figure that out.
I don't get that one.
And this was you in your late teens.
This was me about 3 years ago.
It's a psychology that I'd rather die than see them before they have a chance to kill.
I have no idea. It was just this fear of being like, when you're in like, it's not fully dark, it's not pitch black, and your brain starts making these shapes. Like, do you ever
Yeah.
wake up in the middle of the night in your
Yeah,
bedroom
yeah.
and it's not fully dark, and you see this shape and your brain turns it into someone,
Yep,
and
you contextualize
then
it.
all of a sudden
yourself.
they're armed and dangerous, and that's it, good night, and your heart just starts going. But I had that like 10x after I watched Scream. Whenever I'd go into a room, I'd be like, "There he is. That's the guy in the mask. He's just got his back to me. He's gonna turn around and I'm gonna see the white mask." So then I just close my eyes because I'm like, "Well, at least if I die, I won't get a fright."
Yeah, okay. At least you'll die happy. It's funny because you're making me think of movies that we've seen as kids that we shouldn't have
My
seen.
movie was a Disney movie, so it wasn't even. So talking about being ashamed of it. Do you remember? I'm pretty sure it was Disney. But I was like 4 or 5 or something watching it. Do you remember Darby O'Gill and the Little People?
Vaguely, I didn't. It was very
I
young
swear
for
to
me.
God, guys, get there. So there's for those who don't know, there's like it's like Irish folklore of a banshee that I think it's like something from the afterlife or something that comes in Wales when someone's died, and it's like an old Irish country tale, right?
Is there a thing that if you hear the banshee, you will die? I think.
And I'm pretty sure there's a banshee in that movie at some point. And it was something to do with like if there's an O in your last name, that's, when you've got trouble. And I'm O'Leary, so
Right.
there's an O in the name. And that freaked the shit out of me. And I'm pretty sure it's a Disney movie.
Quick definition apparently is if you see a banshee, the appearance or the wailing, it means that basically someone in your family will die. That's the.
I mean, no
the
wonder
warning.
I was freaked out.
Of course you were. Sorry,
That is
I
fucking
literally-
crazy shit.
This is all coming back to me now. I remember we were in Yard, I think it was, and you literally lost your mind because you were like, the fucking banshee. I was like, what? What is a banshee?
Exactly.
And why is Sean crying in yard? Like, we're all having fun. And you would
Tomo, this is in
your
like
marbles.
primary school. This was primary school in like the junior primary school we had.
Wow.
Remember we had the two guys,
Yeah.
and it was lost my shit because this movie just gave me the appreciation, understanding of what a banshee was. I didn't need to fucking know that at that
Yeah.
age, and because it was something targeted as well to do with O's in the name, and I just for months and it just made me think about it when you talk about looking out. You know, when you go to close your curtains at night and it's just pitch dark outside because your
Yeah.
light's on.
Yeah.
And it's primed for something to just go boom.
Top tip, Sean, just close your eyes when you're doing it. Close your eyes. And at least
Close
then
your
you won't get a
eyes.
fright.
That's all you
Just
can
close
do.
your eyes when
That's
you're
all
doing
you
it.
can do.
I went home from school that day and was like, to my mum and dad, I was like, what's a banshee? And they're like, what do you mean, what's a banshee? Like, oh yeah, apparently Sean O'Leary's going to get killed by one. They're like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? I was like, yeah, Sean, like, he lost his marbles there in yard. Which isn't like him. Like, you were a pretty level-headed kid, right? And I remember my mum and dad having to explain what a banshee was and that it was like not real and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'll go in and
Right.
clear all this up with Sean tomorrow. Make him feel much better.
Fuck me. I love that. That normal kid lost his marbles. I was
Yeah.
absolutely possessed with the thought of this banshee and seeing it on the way home and thinking that all my family was going to die or me. Fuck. Here's a random phobia for you with showers. Like, it just made me think of it. Hair in the shower.
That
Like,
get you.
I can't fucking clean like hair out of.
Oh, clean
Would you
it.
put your hand down there and like pull? Like,
Yeah, it's gotta be
long
done.
hair out
With a
of there.
marigold
there.
on, yeah.
How else you getting? I'd do it with my hands and then
I
just
would
wash
be-
the
I'd
shit
be
out of them afterwards.
gagging.
Like use fairy
No, I'd
afterwards.
be getting sick. And I'm
You've
sure
very
some of our
industrial hands,
listeners
though,
don't
Tomo.
think I'm over the top.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, guys. They're very laptop hands, to be honest. I don't know.
No,
I
they're
think there's
industrial. Like,
not as tradey as you might think.
your baby, no, more your knuckles. Your knuckles are like, I don't know, golf balls.
Oh yeah, they are big units.
Golf
I'll give
ball
you that.
knuckles.
Well, it's funny. You just reminded me. I attribute the fact that probably I'm a little bit more laid back with those things. That Mary used to. My sister's terrified of spiders, and I was from the age I could walk a hired gun basically. So I was. I took out a lot of lads in my time.
With the flip flop.
Sometimes with my bare hands, sometimes with a tissue, whatever
Oh,
it
for
was,
God's sake.
depending on the need and the veracity of the situation.
So industrial. Just crushing spiders with his bare hands and his big golf ball knuckles.
You read this perfectly right, Gaz. There's no soft side to this man. There's no soft side.
Tomo, do you wear socks? I bet you don't. I bet you just go straight in the shoe, straight in the boot.
No, I
Oh
do,
my
but I
God,
know.
Tomo's socks. I have a phobia of Tomo's socks. I'm glad you brought that up,
Oh, this is gonna wind people
and I'm
up.
not the only one.
Yeah, Tom Connolly gets
You know,
very annoyed.
Gaz, the heel of the sock
Yeah, they
needs
wear
to
it
be
out.
placed where the heel is.
Oh,
Tomo
I
would put his
disregard that.
sock on, and the heel can be anywhere.
Anywhere.
And that little
Oh.
pocket where the heel should be is just
Do you still
floating
do that, Tomo?
on the top
Some
of
men
his
just want to
ankle.
watch the world burn.
That
No,
is
Tomo,
that's
that's
a
pure
tough one.
and utter fucking laziness. That's like, you're not looking after yourself. You're too lazy to look after yourself. You're too industrial.
I would argue.
He's too industrial. He's way too
I would
industrial.
argue
Only
that
an
time
industrial
is money.
man
I don't have.
does that.
I don't have time to be repositioning socks, lads. It's 2024.
It's not like, it's not that hard.
Speaking of time,
really isn't.
guys, it's probably
Yeah.
it's probably a good time to
That's a wrap.
wrap it up.
Let's get carried to bed. Listeners, if you have any questions for us based on previous episodes or anything you'd like us to talk about, please get in touch.
It's just Snug Life Podcast.
SnugLifePodcast@gmail.com. Please get in touch. We want to hear from you.
Any funny stories, any funny phobias.
And anything you'd like us to discuss, we're all ears.
So on that note, we'll leave you guys there. Thanks a million for joining us this week. It's been the Snug Life Podcast. And yeah, good night, God bless, and we'll see you next week.